This is a video on descriptive statistics in SPSS. Now, statistics is the science of data. Now, what is data, you might ask? Well, according to the Webster dictionary, this is what data is. Now, what do we do with data? Well, we do statistics with data. Now, what is statistics? Statistics is the collecting, classifying, organizing, visualizing, summarizing, analyzing the data, interpreting the analysis, and making predictions based on the interpretation. Now, there are two branches of statistics that we need to know: descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. Descriptive statistics takes care of the first half of that sentence, that definition: collecting, classifying, organizing, visualizing, summarizing. And inferential statistics kind of deals with the other part of it, which is analyzing, interpreting, making predictions based on the interpretation. For the purposes of this video, we will consider descriptive statistics as more summarizing data than the other stuff. So this is kind of when we say descriptive statistics, we're talking about the summary of the data that we're using. Now, when we summarize data, we take a data set of size n and calculate a single quantity that represents the entire set in a certain aspect. We call these quantities summary numbers, and there are three types of summary numbers that we need to know. The first type is measures of central tendency. Now, what are we summarizing by using measures of central tendency? We're kind of looking at a number to represent the center of the data set, the kind of center of gravity of that data set. And that's what we mean by central tendency. So we calculate a single number that will give us the center of that data set. Some examples of summary numbers that are measures of central tendency are the mid-range, mid-quartile, the arithmetic mean, which is just regularly called the mean. Of course, there are other types of means. There's a geometric mean, the harmonic mean. When we say the mean, we're speaking about the arithmetic mean, the common mean, the median, and the mode. Now, the second summary number group are called measures of dispersion. We try to calculate a single number to represent the spread of that data around its mean. How far some distributions of data might be spread far out on both sides of that mean. Some of them might just be a narrow spread around the mean. So that is sort of quantified by a measure of dispersion, one single number that gives us an index, a sort of a measure of that spread of your scores. Some examples of measures of dispersion: we have the range, the interquartile range, the mean absolute deviation, the variance, standard deviation. The third measure is measures of location or position. Now, this sort of locates one single score within the distribution of scores. How does that score compare to the other scores in the distribution? Some examples of this measure is the percentile, percentile rank, the quartile, the z-score, the t-score. Now, there are a couple other measures that are added to descriptive statistics, and they're measures that give the shape, the overall shape of the distribution. And two measures in particular that we're talking about, and that's the skewness of the distribution, means just how far is it off center. What is the tendency of this distribution to be asymmetric, or to be unsymmetrical or not symmetrical? Kurtosis is roughly speaking, is the peakedness of the distribution. How high does that peak go, or how low? And skewness and kurtosis serve to sort of test the normality of our data set. If the skewness is a certain value, or let's say 0, we consider that the distribution is not skewed, it's symmetrical. And a symmetrical distribution would have the three measures of central tendency, the mean, median, and the mode, they'll be equal. Kurtosis now is how high does that distribution peak. But anyway, let us move on and see how we can find descriptive statistics in SPSS. Now there are two ways, two routes to get our statistics in SPSS. One is using frequencies, and the other is using descriptive, what you call descriptive. The first one we're going to look at is the descriptive of bringing up our descriptive statistics. So when we get over to SPSS, we are going to see this data set preloaded. This data set consists of 4 variables. And what it is, we have 12 flea beetle. First 4 from the CON species, con. Second 4 from the HEP or HEI species, and the third group from the HEP species. So we take the weight and the length of the thorax of each one of the 12 flea beetles. So this is basically the data set that you're going to see when we get over to SPSS, which we are going to be doing right now. So this is the data view over in SPSS. Here are 4 variables. So let us go on over the variable view where we're going to do that. So the first is the string ID. We don't need to do anything. What's that? Species. So here we go. Remember how you do this. You click and you put in 1, and you put what 1 means, CON, and so on. Okay, 2 is HEI, 3 HEP, and you click OK. Okay, so numerical, both the weight and the length are numerical. And the only thing that we got to do is the decimal places, which is right here. We prefer that weight has no decimal places and length 1. So, okay, let us go back over to data view. Okay, so here it is. We have no decimal places, just integers, and 1 decimal place for the length of the thorax. And then the 1s and 3s and so on. Okay, so now what we're going to do is get the descriptive statistics on the 2 numerical variables. And we're going to do that through the descriptive route. So the first thing we do is to go up to Analyze, Descriptive Statistics, and not frequencies, but descriptive. The two variables that we're going to be using, we move them over right column. So you hold down Control, you click this, and then you just click the transfer arrow, and that will take them both over to a variable on the right. Last thing we do is we're going to click on Options. When you click on the options, the dispersion would have checked by default the standard deviation, the maximum, and the minimum. Now we can just leave that as is. Mean, for the central tendency measures, we have the mean, just the mean. We don't need the sum, per se. So we're going to leave the mean checked out. We're going to leave the standard deviation, minimum, and maximum checked out. For distribution, which is the shape of the distribution, we're going to put check marks on both kurtosis and skewness. Now for display order, we just leave the default variable list as is, and click continue. Leave this unchecked. Which is to save standardized values as variables. We don't need that. Style, bootstrap, so we're okay here. Click OK. And we'll be taken to the output window for descriptives. And here we have the descriptive statistics that we got. We have the N. N is just the size of your data set, which is 12. You have the minimum, maximum, the mean, standard deviation, the skewness, standard error, which we're really not using right now, but it's here, the kurtosis as a statistic, and as a standard error as well. So we have a pretty nice little group of descriptive statistics here. Valid means if out of the 12 we only had 10 values there, which means 2 were missing, well then valid, we'd only have 10 valid. All 12 are listed as valid means that we have no missing values. This is how you use the descriptives to find all descriptive statistics. So next we're going to go back and get to descriptive statistics using the frequencies route. Okay, here's our data set and data view. We're going to go back to Analyze, Descriptive Statistics. This time click on Frequency. We're just going to be using weight and thorax length as the variables of interest. So we hit the Control button, click on these, both weight and length. Okay, now the next thing we do is click on Statistics here on the right. The statistics, the frequency statistics box is going to come up. Okay, for central tendency, I don't see anything that has been checked in default, so we have to check all those that we want. So we're going to check out the mean, the median. We don't need the mode because the mode is usually for categorical nominal data. And both of these variables are numerical. So we don't need the mode, nor do we need the sum. Percentile, we're not doing any percentiles now, so we're going to just leave these as they are. However, were we doing a percentile, which remember is the measure of location, we just put a check mark there. If we do quartiles, we put a check mark there. So we don't need that. So we're just going to move on. Go down to dispersion. And we use the standard deviation, minimum, maximum again. We don't need the standard error of the mean. Variance, we really not using the variance at this point, so we just leave it out. And distribution, which are really the shape of the distribution, we click both skewness and kurtosis. Values are group midpoints. No, it's not, because our data is not grouped. It's just raw data, so we just leave as is. Hit continue. Now, when we get up here, uncheck the display frequency tables. We don't need frequency tables. Click chart. Now you're going to select histogram, the radio button, and select, put a check on show normal curve on the histogram. Later on we'll see that this is testing how close our distribution is to normal. So we have a normal curve on there, and we can see any sort of deviation from the normal, we can see it right away. Okay, so again, hit continue. And okay, everything else is fine. We just click OK. So here's our table of descriptive statistics from the frequencies route. And these are kind of the same values that we saw in the descriptive route. It's right there. Minimum 15.420. Let's go up to mean. For weight is 29.58, 29.58, 16.558, and so on. It's the same quantities. What we need to look at, though, is the graph. This kind of is the weight variable, and this shows that the weight variable is kind of symmetrical. This is the length, and the length, although it's not perfect, it looks basically symmetrical as well, close to it at least. Remember, if a distribution is symmetrical, the mean and the median will be equal. So let us see. Let's go back up to our descriptive statistics and let's see the mean for weight. The mean is 29.58. The median is 30. That's very close. It's not exactly symmetrical, like I said, but it's really close to it. And here is the mean and median for thorax length, very close as well. So the both distributions are quite just about as close to symmetrical as you can get. So this is what I wanted to show you. And symmetrical, of course, mean basically a normal distribution. So the both variables are close to normal. Well, that's how you interpret some of these descriptive statistics. Later on, we'll see how to do a little more of that. Well, that's the end of this video. See you in the next one.